This is AC Starlar 29, and we're back at it again with the third episode of the 90's Spider-Man TV show. Basically, this is a comic book version of it, but basically, this show. Um, I'm read the first one. I need to read this one and the other ones because this is a really good series too. But, anyways. This episode, the first episode we're talking about in this episode is about Scorpion. Now, Scorpion, you might know him briefly from the MCU. The Sony MCU universe. By Spider-Man Homecoming, where they show him at the very end when he's in jail, and that guy from Far Cry, I think. We did the motion capture and the voice of the guy in Far Cry 3 or one of the Far Cry movies. He had the big scorpion on his neck to let you know that he's Scorpion. Talking to Vulture. Well, that's his brief story in the movies, right? And the TV show, he has a full-on story where he's not a criminal. He's not even Mexican. The movie version is Mexican. He's a white guy. He got this version he gets made fun of all the time, but Jonah J. Jameson hires him to follow Peter around the town, or follow him just around to see if Spider-Man comes about, because how's he getting those great pictures of how's Peter Parker getting those great pictures of criminals and stuff that Jonah needs? Well, he wants to find out if he knows Spider-Man or not. So he ends up this Scorpion, or the guy before he becomes Scorpion, ends up following around, and Peter notices that where he's taking Felicia out, Felicia Hardy, and yeah, like Tom Hardy, but Felicia Hardy, the rich girl of the in this series, and what I mentioned in the other episodes. And they were talking about how she was talking about how Peter Parker's not more, he's not boyfriend material. He's more, hey, we're studying for a test material, because in this show he's in college. So she just needs help with science and all that stuff. So basically, Peter Parker knows someone's following him, and then he reports to Jonah Jameson saying, "Hey, I didn't see no Spider-Man. All I saw was that weird Peter Parker guy." And basically, Jonah says, "You gotta do a better job." And then basically, when he passes out money, Spider-Man comes in and said, "Look, I don't need." It basically says a witty quip and all that stuff. Says something to that guy, the guy, the Scorpion. Says something to Jonah. If you get my business, again like that, I'll do something to you. Got it? And then Jonah goes to a flashback where his wife gets harmed by a mass criminal. That's the reason why he doesn't like vigilantes. And then that word, "you got it," from Spider-Man, send him to a flashback. And then basically, from there, Jonah's like to the guy, he's webbed to his bookshelf, said, "Look, you have another chance at this. I got a facility. I got the suit. I got the scientist that I hired. Hey, put on a suit that looks like a scorpion." He actually worked on, so the scientist actually told him to put the suit on. He actually put a live scorpion inside the tank and had, basically transformed him into a scorpion. Having the dragon or scorpion, basically he used the scorpion because that's a spider, actual spider's enemy, and the actual animal kingdom or bug kingdom or whatever kingdom it happens to be. And so basically, you find out later on. This is later on. There's like a reference, an Easter egg from the very first episode we talked about with the lizard, but I'll mention that. a little bit later. So basically, he has a strength of Scorpion. He goes out in the town. Of course, he gets Spider-Man's attention. He terrorizes. He's robbing banks and stuff like that, or doing criminal activity. And Spider-Man shows around, and he pretty much beats up on Spider-Man because, of course, he is Scorpion. He also has acid for. He has also acid sting. Acid spin out of his tail, and that's like I said about the Doc Ock suit. That Scorpion suit is also pretty awesome. Um, there's acid in the back, like a jet, like a backpack, and it's the acid spits out a little tail, and then the tail also can grab. And also has like a little like a little blade at the very end of it, so like a real scorpion. And they're tussling and fighting and all that stuff on rooftops, and of course, because Spider-Man does what he does, and Jonah's actually telling him what to do from a helicopter, and he's like, at one point, Scorpion's like, "Who's giving the shots here? I'm the one who's doing this." And then eventually, while they're fighting, Scorpion actually turns into a mutated Scorpion, just like Dr. Connors, aka Lizard, and eventually, Spider-Man figures out it's Jonah that was behind all that, kinda in a way, and the Scorpion tears up the whole city, and then goes back to the laboratory where they do experiments on it. And the Scorpion's like, I was only supposed to be a regular person. Now I'm a freak. And then the and then the doctor's like, yeah, Doctor Connor. Doctor Connors was right. You can't mix. You can't, mutate people into other animals and stuff. Other DNA and stuff. It's not right. So Spider-Man shows up there. They have another fight. With Jonah also helping with the fight. He wants to put Scorpion wants to put radiation all over the world, all over the city because, you know, he just gets tired of people making fun of him and stuff. So in the even beginning, Jonah was making fun of him. Even Spider-Man kicked on that to call him like a toad lizard trash person, and he doesn't like being made fun of. So this Scorpion doesn't like being made fun of, but the Scorpion in No Way Home is kind of like a boss. You know what I'm saying? So it's a little bit different scenario, and he doesn't care if everyone gets harmed as long as he gets what he gets. So he can turn himself back to normal. So then, of course, Spider-Man ends up defeating him. Even Jonah says, "Thanks for helping me out." And he's like, Spider-Man's like, "This is going to change our dynamic together, right?" No, not really. And he calls him Buzzhead, Buzzard Head, and a whole bunch of different names. That's what he does in the show. Like I said, he has nice witty quips, and he narrates the story. While the show's going on, or telling us what's going on, and basically throughout the show, his inner thoughts. So basically, Spider-Man, instead of like talking to other people like they do in the movies, he's talking to us, the audience, with his inner thoughts and what he quips. So the second episode is a character they haven't done in the MCU yet, but they are going. Well, they haven't done it in the Sonyverse yet, or in the MCU yet, but they're probably going to do it in the Sonyverse and the MCU eventually. Maybe, but mainly for the Sony verse first. Like how they're in talks about Morbius, right? Well, Morbius is getting his own movie. Well, so is Craven the Hunter. That also, the actor who plays him is going to play him. It was Quicksilver, I believe, and X-Men, I think, or Kick-Ass, if you want to say that for example. But anyways, in the TV show, so they haven't done Craven yet in the movie world, in the Sonyverse and live action yet, but in the cartoon world, his name is Sergey. He was the best hunter in Africa. His girlfriend was hired him to find some scientist that she knows in the African jungle, and then once they found the once she before they find the scientist, she ends up falling in love with him because he's just a masculine man. He knows what he does, when he knows what he's doing. He knows the surroundings of Africa really well, and he knows how to protect people. And he's a great hunter of sorts. And they end up finding the scientist end up doing a drug on himself that make him more like one with the animals and more internally in with more feline like to hunt like them and be like all these different animals and have other animal instincts, and it was a drug. So she ends up getting in trouble with a bunch of hyenas. Craven comes, Sergey comes, aka Craven, comes and protects her, and then he gets weakened by wounds, and she pours the last with a drug, and he ends up healing really well, and then he starts acting like a primal instincts of other animals like zebras and tigers, lions, and starts hunting like an animal, starts hunting like a lion instead of hunting like a person. And then how Spider-Man gets involved. He goes to the city to find his girlfriend, Sergey. And then that's how I'm telling you the brief story, because Spider-Man and being inside of a altercation and fight with Craven, and then she explains the backstory, and then so Spider-Man rescues her, keeps her safe, and then Robbie ends up getting Robbie the reporter, which I haven't mentioned yet, but he's also in the Tobey Maguire movies. Ends up getting in the crosshairs because, well, Spider-Man put the doctor in his apartment because he was going away, and she's trying to find a cure throughout the whole episode, and basically Craven is hunting down Spider-Man because, well, of course, he doesn't like people messing with his girl. And then they go to this fashion show. He goes to this fashion show with Mary Jane. Mary Jane is in a cheetah outfit, and also he said, "Oh, this outfit makes me bring the animal out of me," because it's the fashion show is called "Your Inner Animal in You" or whatever. And then he also sees Felicia. Felicia said, "Oh, you can take me to the after show." And he's like, "Oh no, I had to take Mary Jane out after this." So all that in the party, and then Craven ends up coming to the party, smells Spider-Man from his webbing, perfume, and all that stuff, because he is now an animal hunter, not a person hunter. And Spider-Man ends up showing up. They end up having a tussle on top of the building there by a cliff, and all that stuff, talking about how he's gonna how he's gonna ruin his friend's life basically ruin your friend's life, or kill your friend life if you don't give me my girl, or find my girlfriend. So he goes around finding his girlfriend. He's like, "No, wait a second, Craven wants me to do this." So he goes to the zoo, goes to African exhibit, and now Craven's in his element. Sets booby traps for Spider-Man. Puts Robbie in hanging down from a fake waterfall and all that stuff. And then, of course, after the booby traps, they get in a tussle, and then his girlfriend ends up finding a formula, and then he ends up rescuing Robbie, and then she ends up getting in trouble with lions again, and then Craven tries to help her out also, and then basically Spider-Man helps out Craven the Hunter, and then he gets wounded again. She puts her miracle drug, the antidote. He turns into a human being, and that's the end of the episode. Basically, they go back to Africa.